Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 95 of the All Dolphins podcast. I see Omar with a smile. So this is going to be for Mike M. Yes, after my absence yesterday where I had to make a trip to the ER, the surgery to remove the hat from my head was successful. However, that does not mean I did not have the ability to still put it on. So here we go. Now I feel whole again.
How you doing, sunshine?
Better than I was yesterday. I'm still not totally there, but much better than yesterday. Yesterday was not a pleasant day.
So if you were to list yourself as a football player, what are you for Sunday?
Oh no, I might have no game status designation for Sunday. That's how I list myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're day to day.
It's going to get better and better, so I'm not concerned about that. So, and by the way, Mike M, thank you for the laugh. That was good. I really enjoyed that. So, episode 95, our recognition of a player with that number, Omar, has got to be Tim Bowens, who I would argue is one of the most underappreciated player in Dolphin history. And if you don't believe me, ask Zach Thomas. He will gladly tell you what the guy meant to his career, like space-eating defensive tackle, where the first time I heard the term country strong was with that guy. That's what he was. He wasn't like a weightlifter. He was just a big dude who was naturally strong.
I could tell you if there was one thing that I can blink my eyes right now and nod my head and it would magically appear in the Dolphins defense or just the team in general, it would be, I'm tempted for an instinctive heat-seeking inside linebacker, but I would take a space-eating interior defensive tackle who can occupy two and clog up running lanes. Yeah. Because if I had, my opinion is that is the element of this defense that's missing, especially in their nickel package where teams are just running all over it. But hey, we are where we are, and we will make the best of what we have.
Absolutely, without question. Lots to get to today on this Friday, October 6th. Omar, where should we start? The Chase Claypool trade, Teron Armstead going on IR, or the injury report?
Let's start with the juicy stuff because fans don't have a very short attention span. Let's begin with the Chase Claypool trade. When I saw it, obviously, and Mike McDaniel himself said it, receiver is not necessarily a position we have a need for. I love what the guys are doing in the room. But when we saw the type of player that we can add for the value that he went for, which is a swap of 7th and 6th round picks, it was basically like, why not? And if you look
wouldn't you say that about every position on the team? Be honest.
Why not?
No, about like we were happy with every player in our room.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. That maybe Mike, but if you ask Vic Fangio, he ain't happy with a lot of his room.
I agree, but yeah, I was talking about Mike. But proceed.
I would say receiver depth happens to be one of the deepest positions, and as we know with Mike McDaniel and this offense, it's probably going to take Chase Claypool maybe a month to even learn the offense. Maybe he can come in and contribute on the Eric Uzukama role where he just hand those packages to Claypool and give him some red zone packages. But for him to be playing and contributing on an every down basis, like that ain't happening. We've already seen how difficult it is for everybody just to understand the language of this offense. It takes them forever. But I think the bigger concern is, and this is what Mike McDaniel spent a good portion, I would say at least half of his media session with us today, Friday, talking about, was the fact that could you potentially be adding a cancer to the locker room? And me and you had a private discussion. I don't know if you'll share your views and thoughts on this issue. I, the resident diva speaker of the resident diva translator of this podcast, I generally try not to create narratives or sort of perceptions about players until I actually get to meet them and talk about them. Because I can tell you, there are certain players on the Dolphins roster who I shall remain nameless. Their perception is nothing like what the fan base thinks they are. And it goes the other way around where they're you-know-whats. And the fan base just absolutely loves them and adores them. No names. But
you're going to be asked about that like ad nauseum from now on, right?
it is what it is, bro. It is. People can figure it out and connect the dots if they like. It don't matter to me. I do what I do no matter what. But the Reggie Bush was the first guy that really taught me that, because let's go back to when the Dolphins acquired Reggie Bush in the 2010 season, I believe. You'll probably correct me.
11.
No, it can't be 11. That was his first season in Miami.
Yeah. I'm going to look it up right now. It was like during they were doing was it a lockout or?
Oh yeah, it was a lockout year. You're absolutely right. It was a lockout year. They were just trying to learn the offense. I thought that was his second season, but you're right. Reggie Bush's image, persona, what the media said about him was absolutely nothing like what reality was, in terms of how hard he worked, in terms of how much he mentored guys, wasn't a prima donna, was a team guy, team leader. And so I never generally like to go on what the media says or what perception is, because a lot of times we don't get it right. And a lot of times we have these narratives that come from places that we don't even know what their agenda or biases is, and we just run with them. And a lot of times those guys are nothing like that. But what I do like about the Chase Claypool situation is, this is a young man who's a rental for Miami. So based on what he does here will impact where he goes out and works, how much money he gets. And right now, if it goes south here, he's looking at being a minimum salary player. And this is a guy that most people expected was the next big thing at wide receiver in the NFL. Oh, back when his rookie season.
I don't know if I go that far. I mean, he had 2 good years in Pittsburgh, but I don't know if about next big thing.
They gave up a first-round pick for him. The Chicago Bears gave up a first-round pick for him. Tell me how many players on the Dolphins roster you give up a first-round pick for.
Okay.
Except for Tyreek and Jalen. I think the list ends there.
At this point. Anyway, but let me go back to this thing though. He had 2 good seasons in Pittsburgh. His production dipped in 2022 when the Steelers they drafted George Pickens, who was like a star in training camp. And along with that, his quarterback went from being Ben Roethlisberger to Kenny Pickett.
Went from good to hot garbage, yeah. Even though Roethlisberger wasn't good.
At the end, no, but he still could make some throws. And then the Steelers made it clear they want to trade him for a second round. Both apparently Green Bay and the Bears were offering a second round pick for him. And since Chicago was going to have the worst team, that's the offer the Steelers took. It wound up being the 32nd pick. It wasn't a first round pick. It was the first pick of the second round. But do you remember why it was the 32nd pick?
Because the Dolphins lost the draft pick. It's still a first round pick.
Okay. My thing is, first of all, right now, the Dolphins' depth at wide receiver is not good because Craycraft is hurt. Ezukama's got a neck injury that we don't know what the hell the deal is. Cedric Wilson, all due respect, is a complete non-factor.
I was just going to say Cedric Wilson is Cedric Wilson.
and Robbie Chosen, while he had the long touchdown against Denver, did bupkis against the Bills. So
everybody did bupkis against the Bills.
To a certain degree.
Except for Devon Achane.
Okay. I like the trade because it's very low risk, high reward, because the guy does have talent. My only thing about player and perception and all that is I am absolutely for giving the guy the benefit of the doubt and the idea of a fresh start. However, in my experience, and with all the white hair, it's a long one. A lot of guys, when they come in with certain baggage and when they had certain issues at a previous place, guess what? Those issues flare up at the next place. There's a reason certain players can't stay around. There's a certain wide receiver from the 2010s who you're very familiar with, who was uber talented, got traded, 5 times in his career? And that wasn't by accident.
It was not. And there's a lot of toxicity there.
Okay.
You're correct. Jason Leisure, who we've both worked with, He works for the Chicago Sun.
Is it
Sometimes.
I believe so sometimes.
Chicago Sun-Times. Guy that I trust, I believe in.
Good friend.
I know who he is. He's a straight shooter. Gives everybody the benefit of the doubt. Ask him for his report. And basically, I'll save most of this, but everything is always someone else's fault to him. The OC, the quarterback, whoever. I'm sure he will blame the Bears when he talks to you guys down there. He just like he blamed the Steelers when he talked to us. Again, he's 25, and he's a nice guy. I hope he figures out his life.
Okay.
And there are work ethic issues. There are commitment issues. I remember when I Am Athlete did an interview, did a profile on him, and yes, I Am Athlete was the home for the diva. So
you,
me too. It was the home for the divas who need a voice.
got it.
Claypool, when he began his career, he made more money off social media and TikTok than he did off his NFL contract. And that's just the reality of where we are in a social media space now. So if my NFL career is my number one salary producer, kind of conflicting, troublesome issue. And I'm not just saying it's just him, because there's a whole generation of players right now where, especially on their rookie deals, they can make a substantial amount of money off social media and streaming. Like, when you think Tyreek Hill streams for fun, like, he's making dough.
Oh, big time. And this is why he keeps throwing out like the stuff that he throws out, because it's going to get people coming back.
Yeah. Today he told me, I'm Nancy, I'm the burner account, and he's like, put that out there. And I said, all right, Tyreek. And everybody knows, just like Tyreek yesterday. I don't know if you caught. I know you were in ER. If you managed to look up from your deathbed, his Ethan Bonner comment, which was praise for Ethan, but a shot at Devon.
Yeah,
saying, "Yo, you're not even the second fastest player on this team." And Tyreek is a professional troll, just like he's a professional Pro Bowl receiver. And hey, if him and Devon are racing every single game to produce the fastest time of the season, I have absolutely no problem with it at all, because they're both really fast. But Tyreek is really threatened that Devon could take his reputation or legacy as the fastest player on the team, if not in the NFL. And because Tyreek went back and forth with me, because I was kind of confused. Remember when Tyreek used to have like the fastest time in the NFL, then all of a sudden it became Devon in 1 week, and like somehow the times got adjusted or altered. And so I had to go back to Tyreek, and Tyreek was like, today, and Tyreek was like, but who has the fastest time all time in NFL history? And he does.
Who, Tyreek?
He does. Tyreek, yes. He has the fastest miles per hour speed in NFL history.
I think the thing that jumps out to me, this is completely off topic, and I want to make another quick point about Claypool, is Tyreek's speed is not just as he's fast over the long haul, is how quickly he goes from 0 to 40. I mean, holy smokes, it's fast. And then with the cuts, that's craziness. That's where, to me, he like separates himself from everybody else. Like what's what I'm looking for? Like my first introduction to Claypool as an NFL player, where he got some attention, is the Steelers are in a 2-minute drive trying to come back. He catches a pass the clock is running, catches a pass for a first down, and everybody is rushing to the line to get set, and then he goes like 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage to do the old first down sign. And I remember like, can you be like more oblivious to the game situation? And then our good friend Hal Habib, he put together a little highlight reel, or how about low light reel, of plays from Claypool's season with the Bears, where he makes Mike Gesicki look like the greatest blocking tight end who ever lived, basically. Oh, I don't know if you didn't see it. I mean,
I gotta see it.
Oh my! I mean, woof. I mean, Matador City. It's bad.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. The one thing that I think, just to wrap up this Claypool situation, because we'll be revisiting this probably when he finally gets here and talks to us. Hopefully that's Monday. Um, here's my final take on this. Tell me who the red zone weapon is outside of Tua throwing these perfect pinpoint passes. Tell me who the red zone target is on this team.
No, correct, because they don't have size of wide receiver, particularly with Izukama down. Well, Cedric Wilson has size, but I don't know if Cedric Wilson's somebody who's gonna. I love that look on your face. Oh man, for those who are going to be hearing this on the audio podcast, Omar just like tilted his left and like I don't even know how to describe it. It's
like it was a come on now.
Come on now.
Yeah, no disrespect for Cedric. Keep
no disrespect there.
Yeah, keep cashing your check, brother. You win. You are the winner. Listen, he can high point balls. He plays with the physicality this receiving core lacks. And maybe if they teach him how to block, it could be helpful for you.
Well,
but
Durham Smythe said he could block. Durham Smythe talked about his time at Notre Dame. Said he was a blocker.
He's a ferocious player. I remember watching him at the Senior Bowl. He was a monster. Absolute monster. Now that's at the Senior Bowl showcase game where you basically have to intrigue teams, and he got selected in the second round. Okay, the talent is not deniable. The work ethic, it's questionable. The commitment to being the best player, questionable. But ultimately, this goes south. You're playing for the minimum contract somewhere else.
All right. No,
and you've just very limited the amount of teams that you could work for. Now, and ultimately, this is the Dolphins making another move, showing you that, hey, we're thinking February. We're not thinking right now. We are thinking down the line, what are we going to need to beat the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, the I can't even say Cincinnati Bengals, the Philadelphia Eagles, the San Francisco 49ers. We want to be in that top 8, and we need to figure out what we need to get into that top 8 and win these games. So we're adding it to the team. So now let's move on.
At a very low cost. That's the other thing that has to be.
Yes.
I mean, and then
it's $3 million in cap space that you don't really have, but hey, it is what it is.
Okay, but the particulars of the trade is Claypool and a 2025 7th-round pick, and the Dolphins send back a 2025 6th-round pick. So
yeah, so it's not even next year's draft pick. It's like
no, correct. And it's a 6 for a 7. I mean, and make a difference. Okay.
Let's get to this injury report. Or what are we doing? Tehran.
We already knew Tehran was going IR, even though the Dolphins waited all week to make the move official. Again, if you've seen enough football and you saw the injury that happened, 95% of the time that injury, it's a few weeks.
My concern, and let me put this out there, my concern, and there's no way for me to find out, is did Tehran need a scope? Did he need a clean out? Or is this just swelling, wait for the swelling to go down, work my way back? Because I suspect this might have needed a scope. This might needed to be, because if it's just swelling and wait for the soreness to go down, would I need a month? Answer that question. Give it some thought.
Oh, good question. And a fair question.
And Tehran is at the age, people got to understand, when players get to a certain age, they don't talk about procedures, because every procedure means less money for you. So we'll never know. I'm shocked that he even acknowledged that he had a scope on the one before training camp. Let's just hope and pray that Tehran comes back healthy, because as Mike McDaniel said, and I totally understand where he was coming from. He's like, I love watching that guy play. And it was a work of art when he was healthy. Now, unfortunately, because of Liam Eifert, he didn't get to stay healthy for an entire, he was going to begin a run, and then it got ended prematurely.
No, he's a pro's pro. There's one good thing, I guess, with the timing of the injury, is the 4 games that right now he's on schedule to miss are Giants, Carolina Panthers, Philadelphia Eagles. That one's not good. And then the New England Patriots for the rematch. But New England's lost its 2 best defensive players this week. So and they brought back J.C. Jackson, who Tyreek Hill will get another chance to abuse like he did in week 1.
And but one of our colleagues, Barry Jackson, made the excellent point, and I hadn't thought about it until he said it. If you actually hold him out of Kansas City, then you get 6 weeks because you got to bye the next week. So, I mean, not that you want to hold him out of Kansas City. You want to be playing the Chiefs with your best. But let's see how Kendall Lamb performs
Right.
and see how desperate we are for immediate help.
And he's been good, so
Yes.
he's been good.
Yeah, they're gonna face a real forceful Giants defensive line, and I'm very curious to see how this offensive line performs, because I would argue to you this is probably going to be the 4th best defensive line you'll face in the NFL this week.
Whoa.
It is.
Okay. Buffalo, Eagles, San Francisco. Washington's got a very good defensive line.
Overrated.
Deron Payne, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat.
Overrated.
Okay.
And you said Jets, right?
I have not even said Jets.
Oh, Jets is right up there. Bills, Jets don't disrespect the Jets D-line.
Oh, no, dude, I've been on the Jets for a long time. If they get any kind of offense, they're going to be dangerous, but they haven't. Speaking of the offensive line, the big question of the day, other than Teron Armstead, who we know is going to go on IR, was Connor Williams. He is listed as questionable, limited in practice all week. You said it didn't matter to you that he didn't have a full practice. It mattered to me a little bit, because if he was a full participant Friday, that means he would be playing. Now, it's a question mark. Jalen Phillips, also questionable with his oblique injury. Lester Cotton, backup offensive lineman, and a third string center on the depth chart. Ankle injury is questionable. And 2 players are listed as out because that's the technicality that they have to do. Offensive lineman Robert Jones with a knee injury and cornerback Nick Needham with the Achilles are both out. That's 1 week of practice in the books. They have 2 more, but then the Dolphins have to make their call on what they're going to do with them. And the good news, Deshaun Elliott will be back in the starting lineup. I would imagine he'd be back in the starting lineup, but he will play. He did not get a game status designation.
Yeah, and it's good that he got the. I think for this defense to actually try to resemble something that looks respectable, which in my opinion they haven't so far. They've contributed to wins and they've won games, but is this the defense that you were expecting? I mean, everybody had the baseline was like, oh, top 10 defense,
Easily.
no question about it. Tell me, what is it that this defense is doing well? And I can't name you anything.
Situational resistance. How's that?
What the hell does that mean?
That means coming up with a late defensive stand to close out games against the Chargers and against the Patriots. There's some value to that.
Situational resistance. I think you made that up.
That term? Yeah, it's pretty cool, though.
It is. I'm not even gonna lie, but it's pretty. It's.
Thank you.
You made it up though.
I did, and if it winds up in the football jargon, I would absolutely be honored. Situational resistance.
Yeah, they should have had some situational resistance with Xavier Howard on Stephon Diggs. That's
hey now.
That situation is still not resolved. I think that I wrote a column in alldolphins.com. You can find it on the website. Just go alldolphins.com. It says Kelly, and I forget what the headline is, but basically there's some trust issues here on this defense. And I've been around a long time. I've got my master's degree in trust issues because I have them. Vic Fangio don't trust his defense, and his defense don't trust Vic Fangio. Now, how exactly do you solve that? How exactly do you resolve that?
And if somebody were to suggest, are you perhaps overreacting because of the Buffalo game, you would say what?
I would say I don't write those things unless it comes at me very hardly. And there's a problem that has to be fixed and has to be addressed. And this is really more of a Mike McDaniel problem than it is a Vic Fangio problem. And there's some common ground, whereas the players are not happy with how they're playing for various reasons. And it's not just about their execution. they're quite vanilla, quite tentative, and they're not really comfortable with that approach. Then when players bring things to the table that they feel can help the issue, they're being And I don't necessarily know if that's a good way to do business. And it's certainly not the way that the offense does business.
No, correct.
So
No, and this is where they've gone, and this, maybe not so much the idea of like they're adapting to the scheme and all that, is the Dolphin defense has gone from all out attack basically to read and react. So
yes,
you're basically going from dictating the action to the offense to reacting to what they do and stopping them. And that's
yeah. And today, and I don't want to make too much of a big deal about it, but Xavier Howard, who has been very vocal about the fact that, hey, I wanted to shadow Stephon Diggs and was told I could not. And wanted to make the adjustment at halftime and was told I could not. Had a comment basically, you know, have you talked to Vic Fangio? And his response was, if you don't know what I could do or how I've been shadowing people for the last 5 years, then like,
yeah.
I forget what the exact quote was, but
it was salty. It was salty based on what
I mean, come on, that was a disrespectful move. But
here's well,
when your entire team is asking you, why aren't you shadowing Stephon Diggs? And your response is because they don't want me to. What exactly? And Cater's
Cater doesn't want to play the left side.
Cater can play the side. Cater's out there for the slaughter. Like you put Cater for the slaughter. It's like sacrificial lamb.
It was rough. No, and then I know Fangio made the comment is we didn't have a show yesterday because one of us was too much of a wimp to actually suit up for it. But Fangio,
you were in the IR, brother. Like give yourself some grace.
I gotta get myself. It was ER actually, but ER.
Yeah, IR. Yeah. ER. Yes.
No, he said it's like you absolutely can second guess it. I think a lot of us were actually first guessing it. Forget second guess. It was like obvious that
that's about as close to saying I effed up as you can get. Like, but here's my thing. Would he change anything? Absolutely not.
Well, let's find out in week 18. But then again, in week 18,
not even week 18. You'll find out in week 7 when AJ Brown comes down.
And then you're going to leave Devontae Smith on the other side. No. I mean, this is not a team. To me, I like the idea of shadowing when you have one clear guy. Eagles, it's Brown and Smith take turns going for 120 yards. I mean, kind of pick your poison type.
You still want to have your best against their best, or at least that when you have the capabilities of having a cornerback that can shadow, whether he's fallen off or at least prove that he's fallen off. Let him prove that he's fallen off, as opposed to I've been here and I've been around long enough to know when a team is clearly trying to move on from a player. And this has that smell, the scent. But
again, my eyeballs and the metrics say he's doing a very good job. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Other than the game where he had all the holding penalties, that obviously, but outside of that, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. Let's get to the Giants injury report, which was very interesting. There are 3 offensive linemen, as Patricia had told us.
The whole left side of their line is gone.
All out.
And the right side, the guy on the right tackle sucks.
And then he took a shot at the fans early this week and then realized not a smart move and he wound up apologizing. So props to him for realizing that picking fights with fans is not a winning play. But Shane Lemieux out, John Michael Schmitz, the rookie center, out, Andrew Thomas, who part of a little Dolphin trigger player picked before Tua in the 2020 draft. Hamstring out. So what?
I said, thank God.
Yeah, well, this was the year after they had picked Daniel Jones. So
no. Daniel Jones wasn't good. So
no, I don't disagree with you.
I mean, he's a $40 million quarterback right now. So, but he's got a 69.7 passer rating at the present moment. Now, In fairness, he doesn't have an offensive line in front of him.
Correct.
But here is my point with this whole offensive line situation.
And I
wrote another column on alldolphins.com.
Go ahead and I'll finish the injury.
If you can't eat against this offensive line in terms of pressures, hurries, quarterback harassments, you're not going to eat against any offensive line.
Hence why we said this is a get-right game.
There's no such thing as get right. Don't be disrespectful. Even the Washington Redskins. So the Washington
Omar, you literally wrote that. Seriously, give me a break.
I didn't. Did I use the term "get right"? No, I said that they were a wounded animal.
We're going to get into semantics here. Are you seriously denying?
My opening line was that this is a wounded animal backed into a corner.
It's a get-right game. They're playing against a crappy team that's got injuries up the wazoo on the offensive line. That's coming off a game where their quarterback was sacked 11 times. That where they may or may not have Saquon Barkley. Apparently, it's going to be a game-time decision. Even if he plays, the dude's coming off a high ankle sprain. And we know how that goes. Chances are he's not going to be terribly effective. What on that team scares you? Like, could the Giants defense provide some resistance against the Dolphin offense? Sure. Don't discount that possibility. Is there any reason whatsoever for this to be the game the Dolphin defense absolutely asserts some type of dominance? And if you said, if not now, when?
Correct. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a get right game because anybody can get anybody. The Bears just got Washington, and you got to bring your A game.
Like the head coach right now,
huh?
I scolded somebody on Twitter because I was saying, because you were saying, well, Mike McDaniel said it's not a get right game. I'm like, yeah, he's the head coach. Obviously, he's going to say it's not a get right game.
No, I mean,
I'm saying
are you locked in for your opponent? Because I think that there's some opportunities there. Matt Breida, he used to be good. They got a rookie wide receiver that Xavier says that boy can get up and get down.
Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah,
he's good.
And Daniel Jones can beat you scrambling. And don't forget about Darren Waller. Huh?
Daniel Jones doesn't check it downfield, and Darren Waller's not been used in the passing game. I mean, I'm not like. And again, Mike McDaniel's going to say what he has to say, and I get it. And it's his job. It's his job to keep the Dolphins completely focused, locked in on the Giants. Okay. We're members of the media where we can assess this game and say, how in the hell do the Dolphins not dominate defensively? And this is the game to get right defensively.
It is. And how many times have you seen them lose this game over the last decade? At least half.
They didn't last year. Excuse me. In fact, I think, excuse me again.
Is that Ebola?
I want to say also in 2021, I don't recall them losing a lot of games against teams that were.
They did. Jacksonville.
Yeah. Gotcha. It was at.
Gotcha.
And the Dolphins were 1-6 and coming into that game, as I recall.
Yeah, but they were still huge favorites to win that game. Jacksonville was circling the drain, and then they just allowed you to get right.
I should do the research and find out, like, all the times the Dolphins have been double-digit favorites over the past 10 years and how those games have played.
Yeah, I don't know if they were double digits against Jacksonville, but yeah, that was I mean, it happens. And if you don't keep your eye on the prize, you'll and this is a game where the offense has got to prove. And I don't think every team can do what they did against Buffalo. And I am of the opinion that Buffalo was able to do what they did against Miami's offense, primarily because Buffalo didn't need to send more than 4 to get pressure on Tua all game. Who can do that? Except for Liam Eichenberg being on offensive line. Who can do that? Did it happen or did it not happen?
And by the way, they did send more than for a couple of times. I know Tre'Davious White came in from the outside once or twice, and then somebody else came in on the other side. But mostly,
they did a Vic Fangio. Yeah, we blitz every once in a while just to surprise you. Surprise!
Yep.
But yeah, they didn't have to bring pressure. They got pressure with 4. Can you imagine a Dolphins defense that gets pressure with 4? They keep trying, but it doesn't happen. Sorry.
That happened.
Low-hanging fruit there for me.
And you're being mean. You're the days of Omar being nice. That was a one week deal, wasn't it?
Boy, that's an evil laugh, isn't it?
Yes.
No, I'm disappointed from that Bills game just because there's so many things that I thought and knew that I felt, and that just shut you up. That just slapped you back to reality. As Stephon Diggs would say, is like, spank you. Who's your daddy?
But Omar, with some of that, I think for some reason there's a lot of people who all of a sudden decided that the Bills were going to suck this year, or we're going to take a big step back.
No. I don't know who they're. No, but they shouldn't be that much better than this team.
Oh, and I agree with that.
But the fact that they don't have to blitz or rush more than 5 to get pressure on Tua and harass Tua, like that's a recipe for disaster. You can't do nothing with that.
But so maybe in the rematch they'll play better up front.
Yeah, definitely
needed.
It'll be interesting to see. Any other guys on the injury report? Since we
okay, so for the Giants,
no, we went over Miami's. We went over.
Well, their blocking tight end, Daniel Bellinger, has a knee injury. He's listed as questionable. And they also have linebacker Micah McFadden with an ankle injury, also listed as questionable. So
it's about Saquon and that O-line. And if the O-line, we already know the outcome, and it's just a matter of Saquon playing. And even when he does play, I remember there was a game, you could probably correct me. You could probably tell me when. He was coming back from a knee injury, he suffered a high ankle sprain, and then the first game he played was against Miami, and he looked like trash. Think it was probably the 2021 season.
Was that the one? Yeah, then when Mike Glennon was the quarterback for the Giants, and they won. Dolphins won 20-9.
Yeah. So if I'm Saquon, I'm sitting this out because all of these games determine how much money I make in the future. Brother, get yourself healthy before you come out here and get yourself beat up. You only have so many carries in you. Why keep that odometer running? All right, Poupard. Hopefully you're healthy enough to do this again tomorrow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is that a commitment, or do I have to put you as questionable?
I'm probable right now.
Probable.
Very probable.
Appreciate that. You can find all our work on alldolphins.com for free. You can find the podcast under All Dolphins. Please like, subscribe, hit the little thumbs up button, tell a friend. And you can find us at the Fans First Sports Network under Miami Dolphins Insider. See you tomorrow.
We shooting for a live Q&A tomorrow, Omar?
A what?
Live Q&A?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thinking 11:30 a.m.
All right. Okay, sure.
There we go.
I'll clear that with the wife.
Okay. See you guys tomorrow.